while sleep deprived. Go.
I will help you in a minute.
Yeah, time to, while being sleep deprived, to fight for my Japanese comrade.
Also, is this a vague understanding of the last thing? Is just more shattered wine glasses and more guilty votes?
Yeah, honestly.
Rough summary.
Alright, time for another summation examination.
I'll be right back.
Wait. I have determined that the court must uphold the defense's judicial right. Yeah. Alright, time to proceed with summation examination.
Okay, so the real question. How many summations are going to have to do in case 5, the big 8-part case?
Lord, I don't know. And the better question here is, why isn't there a summation examination for, like, the prosecution? Why is it only the defense that gets this luxury? I'm going to exploit the hell out of this, don't get me wrong.
Well,
Alright, state clearly and concisely for the court grounds on which you find the defendant guilty. The accused left behind evidence at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books of his. If there was some novel alternative explanation about how the victim was stabbed, I might reconsider it. Even if the woman was throwing books, it can't be related to this crime if the window was closed, can it? Nearing me, it was only a little book, hardly life-threatening, even with a direct hit. Look, I just want to get this over with. If I don't bring home some pay tonight, I'll be in a tiny bit of trouble. Come to think of it, we had a fire at home a while ago. The sneezes. Thank you, Grandpa, for providing me with a shit. My learned student friend was unable to find fault in the previous witness's testimony. So the court must accept the fact that it was indeed the accused seen fleeing from the scene, and moreover... Third! No one else was even at the scene to commit the crime. Now, if the eyewitnesses are correct, it would seem as if the conclusion is somewhat set in stone. Fail to see how it can be argued any other way. Essential that you establish some other tangible explanation for the facts. But it can constitute a tangible explanation. Oh, fuck. Who stabbed the woman? And how? Those 2 details are all you need to provide. Simply give us a name and a method by which the attack was conducted. And here I was thinking that this might be hard. But I have to do it, otherwise this really will be what the trial ends. No pressure. It's quite enough preamble. Proceed with the summation examination. Alright. Oh, we went for 2 smacks. Going to be juror number 4. Should I say Mrs. Garrett? The 4th book found in the victim's hand. There must be a way to link the 2. Yes, that's what we have to find using every technique I've learned in my short career so far. Don't forget to keep an eye on Mrs. Garrideb and how she reacts even to things other people say. Alright, so we'll talk to her last, probably. Defense's rebuttal. The accused left behind evidence of the scene didn't he has 3 books of his.
Hold it!
As we now know, there were 4 books, not 3. Well, what difference does it make? There's every possibility that the 4th book belongs to the defense landlord. Yes, that's the part I have a problem with. Excuse me? Well, at the point the woman was stabbed, the landlord fellow was at home, wasn't he? Enjoying a fiery scrap with his wife or something, he said. It's not exactly how I put it now. Well, anyway, the point is the fellow and his wife were somewhere else when it happened. I think that's what you call a strong alibi. So it couldn't have been the landlord who did it, which only leaves the Nipponese fellow. Honestly, I can't see what all this palaver is about. It's a done deal, isn't it? I suppose it is, since I have nothing really left to say. If there was some novel alternative, yes.
Hold it!
So, you might be willing to change your decision again. Oh my, such a light on your face. But I'm afraid I shan't be swayed by emotion. Despite what you may think of me, I'm a very modern, metropolitan, and rational woman. That's great. If one reads the morning papers, it's all forgotten by tea time, isn't it? So why read in the first place? You see? Modern, metropolitan, rational thinking, wouldn't you say? And not at all extreme. As I see it, an overwhelmingly suspicious Japanese man has been implicated by everything overwhelmingly strong testimony. So despite one or two minor puzzlements, I do declare that the man is overwhelmingly guilty. Modern, metropolitan, and rational logic, wouldn't you say? Overwhelmingly. But us modern gals are always delighted to embrace new fads, you know? So I'd be only too happy to consider an exciting new theory if you can come up with one. Be happy to do that too, if only I could. Let's do our very best not to disappoint the modern metropolitan community. Thanks, Rihanna. Susato, please.
Hold it!
What about the possibility that the window was open? What about it? I mean, there's just no way it could have been. Why can you be so sure? Prosecutor fellow over there said it earlier, didn't he? Winters in London are no joke. You don't want to invite that sort of cold indoors. So no, if the window was an open cylinders like sitting by the fire and staying warm, see? But you couldn't categorically state that the window wasn't open, could you? It just wasn't. They wouldn't have opened it. What's the point of even having windows, huh? Counsel, you will kindly refrain from childish bickering. Oh, sorry. Somehow I need to show that there's an undeniable possibility that the window was open. Because this young man isn't going to budge otherwise. Yeah, I'm assuming the smoke is why they opened the window.
Hold it!
But the little book was on fire at the time, was it not? The third wine glass has hit the towers. Literally first thing he did. Back into court.
At least it didn't show us his boot again.
Not yet. He brought it upon himself. It's like playing with fire to betray a fiery well, isn't it? Well, don't you agree? Any kind of betrayal is certainly a bad thing, yes. But I think the argument might have arisen after your misunderstanding, Mrs. Garnett. Never you mind that. The point is we were just having a jovial little dispute, nothing more. And I won't have any more of these suggestions that it was anything whatsoever to do with this crime. Alright, well, we'll see about that. What about your number 5? He doesn't seem to be turning a hair as scared as relentless onslaughts. It's almost as though he's used to it. What a gentle soul. Everyone in London was in an abusive relationship, is what I'm hearing.
Oh, yeah,
So-
you ever heard the government? Hey!
So basically, the prosecutor just goes, give us a name and a way that she got stabbed and we're good. And I'm like, damn. Yeah, if I could just do that. So I have to prove that the window was open so that the burning book could be thrown into the street. And my first thought is, when you have a fire, it makes a lot of smoke. To ventilate the smoke, you open the window. Then while she's angry, she throws the burning book. He dodges it. It falls into the street. But I haven't found anything to present that.
Hold it!
Alright, juror. You just want to get this over with? How can you sit there and say something like that? A man's future is at stake here. Well, him and me both then, like I said before. What? I told you already, I'm a day laborer, aren't I? I don't bring home some readies with me tonight. You'll find me floating face down in the Thames tomorrow morning. Jesus Christ. You heard me. My missus isn't one to mess about, you know. She can be fierce, you believe me. Another shining example of marital bliss, then. Situation like this cropped up the other day. It was, well, do you know, it's funny, but I can't quite remember. Sorry? It was too frightening, that's the thing. I must have blocked it out. Helpful. Wonder if Mrs. B will ever be dragged into the Thames by his scarf. Don't even go there, Miss Susato. Must be some way to jog his memory about this. Okay, come to think of it, we had a fire at home. It gave me the sneezes.
Hold it!
Explain to me. Does that have anything to do with your decision about the defendant's culpability in this case?
I was gonna mention the smoke.
Sorry, what's that? You'll have to speak up, lad. Could you tell us more about that fire? It was last winter. My grandchildren baked me a lovely cake on my birthday. It had 75 candles on top. It did. What a sight to behold it was. You put candles on a cake? Was it some kind of devil worship? Of course not. It was an angel cake to celebrate my birthday, obviously.
Great reply.
It seems that that's a common custom here in Great Britain. Anyway, I mustered all my puff to blow them out. Only I must have blown wrong somehow. The flames didn't go out, but candles went flying all over the room. The furniture caught and everything went up. The whole place filled with smoke. Definitely sounds like devil worship to me. And the sneezes, I presume you mean cold. How did you catch a cold from the fire? What a fiasco it was. The grandchildren, bless them, threw water over me as they tried to put out the flames. And because the whole room had filled up with smoke, of course, we had to open all the windows to clear it.
Thank you, Grandpa, for
The biting winter air rushed over me like a devil dancing on my grave. It did. I caught a terrible cold from it. It put me in the hospital for a while. I won't forget that birthday in a hurry. And it was devil worship all.
Grandpa coming clutch twice. First with him falling over on the ice. This time with the whole smoke thing. He has not been a good jerk. He's been a great witness.
Yeah, I know, right? So it feels like the two that I need to pit against each other are Grandpa and the old man that says, you know, fire. Why isn't the window open? And then probably Mrs. Garadeb and the abused husband. Alright. This one isn't quite the blatant contradiction, but...
I was going to say, one of them's blatant.
Hit. Grandpa.
Objection!
These two jurors contradict one another. They do? How exactly, counsel? Don't point at me again, I told you it wasn't me! Huh? What's that you say? Speak up, lad. Speak up. Juror number 3. Do you see? Oh, me? See what, sir? Did you hear juror number 6's account of his birthday celebrations last year? It seems, despite being a Londoner, he once opened his window in the middle of winter. Well, yes, of course, because it was an emergency. I mean, obviously, if the room was filled with smoke from a fire, then you'd be mad not to open the... Oh.
At least he takes it well.
On the day in question, at the time of the incident, there was a fire at the Garadeb household. Mr. Garadeb had the following to say about it. The whole place filled with smoke. On my hat. Ooh.
Chug.
Excuse me.
Juror number 4, do you have something to say about that? Chain chugging. Mrs. Garadeb. Oh, dearie me. What is the meaning of this? How dare you imply I'm hiding who I really am? It's imperative that you confirm something for the court, so please, it's time to drop the pretense now. What is this? When the fire started in your house that day, did you or your husband open the window? What? I beg your pardon? What are you insinuating? The room would have been thick with smoke after the carpet and bookcase caught fire as they did. A situation like that is inconceivable that you wouldn't have opened the window. And what if we did? Oh, alright then, yes, you're right. My husband was frantically trying to open the window, which can't have been easy since I continued to give him a justly deserved book battering, even though your house was on fire. He never stopped throwing until the anger subsides. It would be terribly bad for the nerves to do otherwise. Of course, I should have realized. That's a significant step forward. We simply have to add that added to Garadeb's formal statement. Yes, the window was open at the time. I'd clean forgotten, but it's true. So now we pit that against juror number 3.
Objection!
These two statements clearly contradict.
Hold it!
Hold it! I'm sorry, but as foreman of this jury, I have to object. That's complete nonsense. What? I'm a banker, don't you forget, an educated man. There's no contradiction as far as I can say. Okay. Okay, I think I have to repress her. Shut up, Susato. Why are all the maids insane? I don't know, man.
Hold it!
The 4th book found at the scene of the crime shows very obvious signs of fire damage. And the title of the book, The Lion's Pride. The same title, in fact, as the book Mr. Garadeb has been told us he'd been reading. Well, I really couldn't say. On the day in question, did you or did you not throw at your husband a copy of The Lion's Pride that he had been reading? I did. It was the first thing I could lay my hands on, so I hurled it straight at him. Now you come to mention it, yes. He was rather enjoying reading it, you're right. Why did you not reveal this information to the court from the outset? Well, what could it mean, old man? I didn't remember. Times like that, you pick up and throw whatever you can lay your hands on, as you well know. I really don't. I barely noticed I was throwing a book, much less the title of it. Ooh.
Excuse me.
Excuse me? Your
What is it
literal
you're
weird flex, but okay.
You know something? I've remembered what it was. That memory I'd blocked out. Oh no. I was listening to what this granny was saying. It brought it all flooding back. Who are you calling a granny, you cheeky devil? Mrs. Garadeb or the maid? I'll have you know. The man doesn't even flinch. Please tell me that's not because he's so used to being hit all the time. It was about 2 weeks ago now. I'd just gotten back home after work late. Put my hand in my pocket for the wages I'd earned that day and I nearly died. There was a hole. Every last penny had dropped out. Oh dear, what a disaster. You haven't heard the half of it, boy. No. The wife was cutting up some chicken at the time. I could hardly get the words out, but I told her straight, I've lost the day's wages, love. Next thing I knew, the blade was whistling past my ear, stuck into the wall next to me. About an inch deep. No words, just terror. I could smell it then, you know? That god-awful stench of the Thames. I was sure I was gonna end up face down in the muddy banks that night, I tell you. Now, that's a real disaster, isn't it? I'll never use the word lightly again. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this. When women lose their rank, they'll throw anything at you. Knives, hatchets, hammers, you name it. Master Naruhodo, you mustn't think that all women are so short-tempered and unrefined. No, I wasn't thinking that. Throwing household objects at people is, well, it's so uncivilized. At least attack with honor. Use a bow or the like. What? Attack? Who are you going to attack? Never mind. Anyway, this man's words could be rather significant. My first thought was her going to say it's so undignified to throw things at people. Instead, I simply throw people. Alright, we'll come back to the bow and arrow thing later if I dare. There is so much abuse in London. Alright. So we'll pit her against the one saying, the woman threw the knife.
Objection!
These two statements have a significant connection. Good grief, you mean they don't contradict each other? Explain. Juror number 2. Do you think perhaps that this could be one such novel alternative? What do you mean? An alternative explanation as to how the victim was stabbed in the back. What are you talking about? We've demonstrated that the 4th book, The Lion's Pride, that was found at the scene of the crime, originated in Mr. Garadeb's room on the top floor of his house. Therefore, it's equally possible that some other object besides the book could have found its way from the Garadeb household to the street below. Oh my god, he's implying that one of the things that Mrs. Garadeb threw was a knife. It flew out the window and landed on this poor girl.
That would be so way to go out. You gotta pick up a book and then just...
To be fair, she's okay. She's just in hot dope. After all, Miss Garadeb could have thrown any number of different objects at her husband. Isn't that right, juror number 4? What are you insinuating now, you little beanpole? I'm beginning to think that ever since the true origins of this book came to light, perhaps she's had a feeling this might be what happened. Now listen here, you Eastern Gala. As the foreman of this jury, I demand a straight answer. You give us this yarn about some other object making its way out of the house, but what? What was it? I'm really taking a big gamble here. That was a bold accusation to make, but I haven't any real evidence to back it up.
What's that?
But I'm certain that at the very least this warrants further investigation. Alright, Mr. Foreman, I'll try to explain the defense's theory. The other object found its way from the Garadeb household to the scene of the crime was... a knife.
Take that!
Juror number 4, Mrs. Garadeb. What? What now? I must apologize in advance for this. But I need you to confirm something else for the court. This knife. Have you ever seen this knife before? Ah. Good Lord Counsel, what on earth are you doing? That's the weapon launched into the victim's back, man. My lord, remember that when the victim was attacked, Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb were in the throes of an argument. Mrs. Garrett was hurling anything she could get at her husband who had backed up against the window that had been opened to clear the smoke, and through that which a book sailed to land at the crime scene. You can't seriously believe that. The book was found in the victim's grasp. Are you saying that it flew out the window and across the street to land neatly in her hand? Huh? My Mrs. ain't got a name like that. Yes, I admit, there are many details we don't yet understand, but that's the point. It's precisely why. How to allow this trial to end right now. Oh my. Grandpa actually heard. Mrs. Garrett, your answer please. Have you seen this knife before? Oh,
I think that's a yes.
Oh.
I'm used to, witnesses having to freak out, not...
My lord. I wish to change my decision. I'm a woman of my word, after all. Thank you, madam. Yes, I agree. I certainly didn't see this coming, but... I just don't think it would be right for this trial to come to an end now with so many unanswered questions. Mr. Form? I'd have to agree. Not that I think the granny did it, mind. Yes, you know what? I'm not quite happy about this at the moment either. All together now, ladies and gents.
But why aren't you doing this?
Grandpa probably didn't even hear half of what's happening.
Honestly, fair.
We did it. I swear, if we have to do this a third time, we're going to lose shit. So as a result of the defense's summation examination, change, 2 jurors called guilty, 4 innocent. Accordingly, the opinion of this court is divided, and this trial will continue. What about Mrs. Garrett?
Good question.
Mrs. Garrett? Now then, Lord Van Sykes, how does the prosecution wish to proceed? Oh boy. Crushed or thrown?
Crushed.
This trial is rapidly descending into a farce.
Actually using the wine glass or something first?
Hold. Like a corked wine, the first few sips are bitter enough.
Thrown.
But what follows is so repugnant it's good for nothing save the gutter. Is he gonna throw the bottle again? If I may, Lord Van Sykes, the defense has just put forward a credible alternative explanation for what happened. Credible? Is that your considered opinion? Uh-oh. Just got a message held for misogyny.
What'd you say?
This man has gotten owned how many times and now he's still being a bitch.
Jen. Gosh, Jen and your misogyny.
Incredible. Is that your considered opinion, Mr. Foreman? The defense's argument is a joke to which I barely know how to respond, but let me start by insisting. Now you must all familiarize yourself better with the relative positions of the places being discussed. What do you mean? What's your angle this time? It should already be more than apparent that between this crime scene and Garrett household runs a rather wide street, Briar Road. Which means that the distance from the Garrett's house to the scene is some, 15 yards. Let's see, 15 yards. It's around 14 meters. 14 meters. Oh, that's a little farther than I'd imagined. As you ladies and gentlemen of the jury rightly noted, having portentous significance, the 4th book was found in the victim's clutches. What is this man? What is the man version? What do we call him?
Good question. Let me know whenever you figure it out.
The 4th book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, the smoldering book, wantonly hurled by the way through the house, traveled some 15 yards, going on the opposite side of the road, neatly between the collapsed victim's finger and thumb. No, she threw the book, the girl picked it up, and then she threw the knife, and it stabbed her in the back. And did the jackknife follow a near identical trajectory to plunge into the middle of the victim's back?
I mean, that was much more
This
possible.
fantasy is somewhat more stretching than having a notion of a bad day for the victim. Even those pathetic serialized detective stories have more believable plots. There's nothing I can say to that. Yeah,
There's so much you can.
that prosecutor also sounded his own voice.
Very much.
Serialized detective stories are pathetic, are they? How dare he? Maybe let's pick our battles here. My lord, may I be allowed to speak? As judicial assistant, you may speak for the defense, yes. Go ahead. Prosecution may consider the idea a fantasy. What the defense has postulated was believable enough to persuade the jury to change its leaning. And as such, the court has the duty to explore this alternative explanation as thoroughly as possible.
Yeah, what now?
To that end, Juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garrideb, must be called to the testify and submit to cross-examination. Saints alive. Cross-examination of a juror. Oh, she's here again.
Okay, I got that going.
Is she wrong, though? No. This is highly illegal. It's unprecedented for a member of the jury to be summoned to the witness stand.
Objection!
Yeet! So that's
very casual.
2 glasses crushed, 4 glasses thrown, 2 bottles yeeted. And unnecessary. Lord Van Zykes? There are already witnesses in the stand whose testimony the defense may further cross-examine. My learned friend's farcical theory is any truth in it. Then both a burning book and jackknife must have flown through the sky before the couple's eyes. And we must assume that they would be able to testify accordingly. One is comatose and the other one's a fucking liar. What say you, witnesses? Yes, sir. Constable Rolly Beat reporting for duty, sir. Well. Good morning, officer. Sorry for dozing until now, sir. I haven't slept for a month on account of a villain who's appeared on my beat, sir. Oh, they are so heroic, these London bobbies. Patricia, my darling, I've been neglecting you, but no more. Oh, Rolly, my hero, you make me swoon.
Yes, just say your testimony.
Very well. I hereby reject the defense's request. Now, in order the witnesses in the stand to testify again. State forthwith before the court any details pertaining to the defense's alternative explanation of offense. Yes, sir. Oh shit, we actually get to hear Rolly speak and not just his wife. Okay. This case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrett. Believe me, a London Bobby's good for his word. You see, sir, the windows on the top floor of the Garrett house are tough, hinged casements. Obviously, if anything had been thrown out of the window, we would have seen it. I did leave the scene to go and fetch help, but my trusty Rolly was there to make sure nothing was disturbed. I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for one moment, sir. Nothing strange to report on that front, sir. Didn't we previously find that he had been
asleep the entire time? Yes.
Yeah, okay. That detail was not in the police report, Constable. Ah, yes, sorry about that. I must have been a little drowsy. You cannot excuse your sins with drowsiness every time, Constable. No, sir. Sorry, but what exactly is a top-hinged casement window? They need to get a room. Gross. Yeah. And you cannot excuse your ignorance with such trite remarks, my learned friend. Of course. Sorry. I found it, Mr. Naruhodo. Cast your mind back to the windows of Mr. Mystic Garrideb's room. Sure. So the window opens in order to allow air to circulate, obviously. Ah. But it's this top-hinged casement window. It swings open along the upper edge, you see. I'm glad you've rectified your ignorance. The casement window's most prominent feature is its stay, a middle bar which prevents the window from being opened beyond a certain magnitude. Fuck. Absolutely correct, sir. In other words, if a book or knife were to have been thrown through the open window, it would have had to take a very shallow angle. Yeah.
Oh, the place is already run down.
You see the problem then? Good. Your education in Windows is complete. There was never any possibility of either book or knife traveling 15 yards over the road. That is, unless the window pane had been shattered, or something we've discounted already. That can't be. You see that, Rolly? That young Japanese man just collapsed in agony. Oh yes, my darling, I saw it. I saw how he crumbled before me. Oh, Rolly, you're so strong. How is this happening? I haven't even started the cross-examination yet, and already my argument's been destroyed. Counsel, if you could drag yourself upright again, the court awaits your cross-examination.
Getting called out again.
My lord. Oh good, another desperate situation.
Hold it!
How can you say that for certain? Very good question, sir. And the answer is this. It's the noble founding principles of the force written on as a reminder to all of us policemen of our sworn duty. He showed us that before, didn't he? Did he? I really can't say I remember. To patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man. That's what the job's all about. That's why I stand here today beside my long-suffering wife and I tell you what Bobby's good for his word. While rubbing my tired eyes, admittedly. So. Oh, Rolly, you're so mad at me. Of course I am, my darling Patricia. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly.
God, I want to love it.
No, none of this is what I meant. I meant, how can you say for certain that this case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrett? Ah, I see, sir. You should have said so earlier, sir. Yes, well. So, could you answer the question? That was a waste of time, then. Absolutely, sir. I'll answer it to the fullest of my abilities. There's a surprising reason why Mr. and Mrs. Garrett and domestic dispute can't be related. It's the case meeting is. Just one thing. Oh?
We can go sleep.
I'd very much like you and all your countrymen to understand the great British institution of Scotland Yard. So I'll help you take back some tales of us London Bobbies and show how we uphold our guiding principles. I wasn't planning on going back just yet. I've only just arrived here. So to that end, sir, I'd be happy to lend you my warrant card for your perusal. But I must warn you, you won't be able to get through it without shedding a few tears. Thank you. I'll try.
I was half expecting him to say something about falling asleep.
No, he's awake now. Alright, so first... I need to... This is the first new piece of evidence we got on. Principles of police. Policemen will strive to preserve the peace within his allotted beat. A patrolling officer is expected to walk 20 miles around his beat every day for the furtherance of community relations. Any crime that falls under the jurisdiction of the beat is in which they are discovered. When a crime is discovered, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives.
20 miles.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Hold it!
By which you mean that they don't open fully, is that correct? Yes, sir. They're just there to allow a bit of air through the house, you see, so they're restricted as to how much they open.
Sounds like a serious fire concern.
Triangle sure at least hasn't happened yet, yes.
I don't know what year it is, so you
That's
know.
true. And therefore anything thrown out of the window from inside the room would simply strike the pane and fall to the street directly below. For clarity, allow me to mark the map. Thank you, Van Zykes. Here is the location where objects would have fallen. Yes, directly opposite the scene of the crime, on the other side of the rather wide road. Would have been so hard for somebody to mention this top-edge casement thing before. Well, I have another question for you, Constable. Yeah, I never would have. This man is part horse. He's got a strap in his mouth. Yeah, man. What would that be, sir? How do you even know? Why would you have any idea what sort of windows Mr. and Mrs. Garrett's house is furnished with? Ah, well, sir, that's very simple. You see, I helped with the investigation yesterday.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to add, Miss Beep? Huh? Sorry? You look, well, delighted. Is there some particular reason for that? Oh, I was just remembering, that's all. We really were so lucky. Lucky? What do you mean? Well, of course, I feel terrible for the poor woman who was attacked. Don't misunderstand me, please. But we were just so lucky it didn't happen on Rolly's beat. It was so close, you see. Oh, I hadn't realized. Oh yes, that street, Briar Road. That's the boundary between Rolly's beat and the next one. Isn't that right, my love? Up. Constable Beat. Huh? Oh, yeah, yes, that's right. The reason I was helping out with the interviewing of the occupants of the Garrett household yesterday, their house is on my beat, you see, so... That really was cutting it close then. Constable, I wonder if you could clarify something? If the Garrett household is on your beat, Does that mean that the pavement next to it is as well? Outside Mr. Garradeb's house? Yes, ma'am. The pavement on that side of the road is part of my beat. I see. I was unaware of that. Just think, if the woman had been attacked just on the other side of Briar Road, we would have never been able to go for that meal to celebrate our wedding anniversary. But that's the life of a Bobby, after all. Extraordinary people are Bobbies, tirelessly working for the benefit of all Londoners. Do you know what I think? I think it was the good Lord's way of rewarding my Rolly for all his hard work.
A murder.
Don't you think so, my darling? That must be it, Pat, my love. That must be it. I think perhaps we should make sure we have the information officially on the record. Leave it to me, Mr. Naruhodo. I'll take care of it immediately. Case file. Updated. Now it's my turn, I think. Obviously, if anything had been thrown out the window, we would have seen it.
Hold it!
But according to my notes here, the sun had gone down, and it was dark. Oh, but Rolly and I were struggling along, gazing at the night sky and looking for our lucky star. Sorry? A star that will guide us to eternal happiness. Can't it guide you to answer the question? If a flaming book had crawled across the sky in front of us, it would have lit up like a shooting star. And if I'd seen a shooting star, I would have made a wish upon it. Let Lily be an inspector, I would have said, 3 times at least. Of course, with the smog and everything, we couldn't actually see any stars. In short, are you trying to say that neither a book nor a knife crossed the sky before you?
Well, they've been really hard to see.
Yes, that's
Flaming book I
correct,
could
son.
see.
As sure as the night sky and London starless, certainly seems like they're telling the truth. And then we saw the poor woman fall to the ground, so we ran straight over to help her.
Hold it!
Yes, you said that you went to a nearby police box to fetch another officer, is that right? That's right, yes. If it had been on Rolly's beat, I would have known exactly where I was going, of course. Don't feel bad, my love. You can't be expected to know the location of every police box on every beat. So Rolly told me the way. Only, I sort of got a little lost on the way. Patricia, my darling, that's why I love you. Your terrible sense of direction is bewitching to me.
Weird.
Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly. Oh, please.
I was going to say, weird thing to be like, damn, you know what really sold me? You just being absolutely terrible at it.
So I suppose I was gone for about 15 minutes. But, like I said, my Rolly was seen the whole time, making sure nothing was disturbed. I was off duty at the time, of course, but a true Bobby is never really off duty, sir.
Unconscious.
I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for 1 moment, sir. Nothing strange to report on that front.
Hold it!
Nothing to report? That's correct, sir. I had my eyes wide open the entire time, never looked away for a second. No one else approached the scene, and nothing was removed from it. I can swear to that on the yard's honest, sir. Really, that seems a little strange. Beg your pardon, sir? Strange, sir? Seems altogether regular to me. The burnt copy of the Lion's Pride was originally in the Garrett household. So the question remains, how did it find its way to the hand of the victim? Can you shed any light on that, seeing as you were at the scene of the crime the entire time? Aha! Could it be a different copy, one that just happened to be burnt as well? Even if that were possible, why would the victim have been gripping a book like that in her hand? As we can see from this photographic print, she had a bag over her shoulder. Well, sir, the book was in the lady's hands from the moment we arrived at the scene. Is that so? There's something about this statement that's not sitting right with me. 2 mysteries of how the knife ended up in her bag and how that book ended up in her hand. There must be some common thread between them. Can I ask you something? Please, Mr. Lawyer, sir? Oh, yes, of course. What is it? You're doubting us, aren't you? I can tell. I wasn't really, what's she doing? Please, just because I'm a woman, it doesn't make my testimony any less valuable. You might just see me as the wife of a policeman, but I'm a woman of my word, I am. I really don't remember ever suggesting that I doubted you. No excuses, I don't want to hear it. My voice will be heard. My lord, you'll let me speak, won't you? Yes, Mrs. Beat, I will allow you to supplement your testimony if you so desire. Sometimes the path of least resistance is the sage one. That was a very loud mutter. I heard that. That Japanese man thinks a policeman's wife word counts for nothing, does he? Well, watch out, sir. I might let you get away with something like that, but my Rolly won't. Duly noted, Miss Beat. Please, I humbly ask you to continue. What could she possibly be about to say, I wonder? These are two cousins? Yeah, I could believe it. I know what I saw. My eyes never let me down. My sense of direction is a little off sometimes, though. Sure.
Hold it!
This is what you wanted to... Nobody's questioning what you told us. I saw it, I did, that evening. I saw it clearly. That little Eastern man with the whiskers, the funny curved back sinking away from the scene. And I know what I didn't see as well. I ain't seen flaming books or knives flying through the sky. All very clear. You also mentioned something about having a poor sense of direction? Oh, yes. Well, that's a little embarrassing, really. I'm always ending up at the wrong place when I've made arrangements to meet Rolly. He gets ever so cross. Oh, marital discourse. Part 3.
Yeah, the third instance of marital discourse.
Constable Beat, is there a problem? No, sir. No problem, sir. Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind, perhaps? Oh, well, in a different way, sir. Yes, sir. I was just remembering that the same thing happened that evening is all. Excuse me? You mean Mrs. Beat lost her way on the night of the incident? Well, you see, I sent her off to find a police box in the next beat over from mine. She'd gone a far bit longer than what I thought was what I was expecting. I thought she'd be back inside 10 minutes, but my darling was gone a good 15. Oh, Rolly, you're such a tease. Excuse me? The reason I was so long was because of the bouquet, silly. The bouquet? Sorry, what bouquet are you referring to? Oh, it was a present for our wedding anniversary. Rolly's so romantic. He saved up for it with the farthings and hay pennies that he found in the gutter while doing his rounds. Yes, how romantic. His wife killed the other woman? I could believe it. But remember, she isn't dead. This isn't a murder investigation. This is just a stabbing in one of the streets. I've forgotten about it all until now. How do you, my darling? Oh, yes. But that was just between us. No talking about it to anyone else, darling. You have to promise... Really? Oh. What was that all about? Constable Beat looked very obviously troubled during that exchange. We have to ask Miss Beat about the bouquet, yeah. Mrs. Beat, this bouquet you just mentioned, I'd like you to add that detail to your testimony, please. Oh, really? Yes, I'd love to. Thank you for cutting back to Zykes just for ellipses. I dropped my bouquet and ended up losing my way for a while.
Hold it!
You mean you dropped the bouquet at the scene of the crime? Yes, that's right. Oh, I was so upset. When we ran over, I saw it was a woman with a knife in her mouth. I was so shocked I dropped the bouquet rolling. It was in a dark spot where the streetlights weren't casting any light, so I didn't notice it first. And then you went to the police box to report it to the police when his beat was on? Yes, and I came back to the scene together with the other constable, you see. And that's when I spotted my bouquet again. But the funny thing was, when I went to pick it up, it was nowhere near the victim's body at all. In case you need reminding, Miss Beat, the victim is not deceased. I was all flustered for a moment before I heard a voice calling from the other side of the road. Your husband, presumably. That's right, silly me. I've gone over to the wrong side of the street. Although I'm going to blame the bouquet this time. I can't think of how it got there. I really can't. So Rolly moved the body to the other side of the street, so it would be on his feet. Yeah.
And that means that would have easily been stabbed.
Mrs. Garadev stabbed that woman. That beautiful rose Rolly got me with that change from the gutter spent so long collecting. By bouquet, do you perhaps mean this sorry solitary rose?
Jeez.
Oh, yes, that's it. That's the bouquet Rolly brought me for our anniversary with odd bits of change he found in the gutter. Maybe just call it a rose. Tell us, Lord Van Zykes, where did you come by this flower? According to the report by the police officer in charge of the crime scene investigation, it was found on the edge of the pavement in front of the Garrett house. In front of the Garrett house. Although it wasn't noticed until the morning as it lay under where the street lamps cast no light. It was believed to be of no relevance to the case since it was found on the opposite side of the thoroughfare. But thank you, sir. Thank you. Could I have it back now, please? No, I think for good measure this rose should be added to the court record as evidence. Oh. But it's a symbol of our love. I want it back after the trial. Do you hear me? I want it back. Good grief. Rest assured that I shall do my very best not to forget this meeting. Okay, so... I didn't mean to...
What do you make all this?
The whole idea of an invisible attacker has been troubling me all along, but I believe I'm starting to get a picture of what really happened here now.
He covered himself in invisible ink.
The fourth book that had no business being in the crime made me sure that Mrs. Garrett was hiding something from us. It was becoming increasingly clear that someone else has been hiding something from us as well. I think I may already be armed with everything I need to strike a decisive blow here. This time, it's going to expose the whole truth. First, I'm going to save.
Oh, you think you're gonna mess up?
Yes, very much so. Because there's two different pieces of evidence that I could feasibly report, and multiple places where they would be relevant. So, like, okay. That's what I want to present to. So I'm not sure if I want to present the flower, but I feel like I need to do... I want to do the Bobby's Code, because it would state about the beat. Let's do that.
Objection!
Okay. Nope, that's not it. Judge, no need to call me out like that. Yeah, I feel like next thing to present would possibly be just the case file.
Objection!
Nope. You see what I'm trying to get at, right?
You're trying to show that it had been moved because from just on his beat to just off his beat, so that maybe this man could get a bit of rest.
What if I do it on that one? Because that's where she admitted that she had lost her bouquet. Let's present the case file.
Objection!
Nope.
Objection. 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 Reload. Objection. Objection.
I'm sorry, but unfortunately, this is like one of those things. It's like there are so many different pieces of evidence in so many different places where you can apply them. Okay. Maybe I should present it at the London Bobby is good for his murder. Casements don't matter. We would have seen it if it had been thrown. I did leave the scene to fetch help, but my trusty Rolly was there to make sure nothing was disturbed. Yeah. Let's try.
Nothing goes to disturb.
I feel like the case file, maybe? No. Did we present the case file to this one? Let's try this.
Objection!
Nope. I feel stupid, but like, I know the angle that I'm trying to go. It's just what they want me to match where. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I forgot I saw the save section.
Part 4. It's Patricia and Rolly's testimony.
Objection!
Because I know what I need to show. I just don't know how they want me to show it. It's just after the rose gets added as part of evidence.
Okay, so they're saying to present the bouquet at the statement 6.
Okay.
Okay, kind of. Basically, what we were on is just which piece of evidence for that.
Exactly.
Nothing. Nothing strange, but the bouquet is different.
You claim Constable beat. There was nothing to report in the 15 or so minutes you were guarding the scene. But that can't be. What do you mean to say? In your testimony just now, Miss Beat, you explained to the court that when you arrived back at the scene of the crime with the policeman assigned to that beat, the bouquet you had dropped at the victim's side was no longer anywhere nearby.
Objection!
Yes, on the opposite side of Briar Road to where the victim was attacked. But considering the size of that meager bouquet, if a single sorry bloom could be so described,
Yes, Van Sykes, we get it.
no doubt it was blown by the wind across the street back into the gutter where it belongs.
Jesus Christ.
Meager.
Objection!
Van Sykes.
But if that were the case, why did Constable Beat not testify to that fact? No one else approached the scene, and nothing was removed. Constable Beat swore to that on Scotland Yard's honor. The bouquet belonged to me and has nothing to do with the case. That's why Rolly didn't mention it, I'm sure. No, because sadly, it's not only your bouquet we're talking about here. More than one thing in this case is mysteriously the wrong way around. What are you talking about? Think about it. Besides Miss Beat's bouquet, there's Mr. Garrideb's book. Mr. Garrideb's copy of The Lion's Pride was thrown out the window by his wife. Would have struck the pane of the casement window and landed here, on the west side of the street. And yet, it was actually found there, on the opposite side of the road, in the victim's hands. Meanwhile, according to the testimony we've heard, Mrs. Beat's bouquet should have been dropped here, at the scene of the crime, on the east side of the street, but in fact, it's on the west side. In front of Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb's house. There's no logical explanation for those things, unless somebody deliberately moved them. What are you trying to say? The way you're talking, it sounds like you think my Rolly's done something wrong. Don't you listen to a word that scrawny lawyer says. Withering on about books and bouquets, why should we care? It's nitpicking, that's what it is. Oh good, Mrs. Garrideb's come around. You might call it nitpicking, Mrs. Garrideb. But deliberately meddling with the scene of a crime is a criminal offense. It's called, tampering, Mr. Naruhodo.
You and
But
Grandpa
the
were
person
shocked.
responsible for this tampering cannot admit to it for a very subtle but compelling reason.
Objection!
Tampering? You've barely heard the term before. Tell us, my learned friend. Who would possibly have had the cause to carry out such an elaborate deception? Yeah, there's somebody who tampered with the scene of the crime.
Who could it possibly be? It's you, Lord Van Sykes.
Someone parent, someone parent trapped the items. It took me a minute to read that right. Van Sykes gives his partner 2 roses. Yeah, he would be bougie enough to afford 2 roses in this economy. Who are you saying is responsible for tampering with the scene of the crime? There are a lot of people here.
Van Sykes.
No, it was the victim.
It was you. You.
Dude, Van Sykes looks like he's like 40, but he's only 3 years older than me, Trevor.
Let's be fair, there's kind of a career at certain points. But at least they didn't pull a fire emblem where the 35-year-old looks like
Hairlock
65.
Sholmes is older than Van Sykes.
He just ages better.
Mr. Garrideb's only 46? Jesus Christ.
Alex, that's you.
Iris is 10!
Well, yes, we already knew that part.
Oh my god.
You really will for 52.
I'm also just gonna throw out the shadowing on that man's face. Ominous. Anyway, it was Rolly.
Take that!
Obviously, there's only one person it could have been. Constable Rolly beat, it was you. What? Policeman? Member of Scotland Yard. What nonsense? Why would my Rolly do something like that? There's no one straighter than us. Well, Bobby
wanna
works
hope.
tirelessly for the people of London. To be fair, British people age terribly incorrect. You said in your testimony that your husband asked you to go to a nearby police box to fetch the officer on duty. The 15 minutes that you were absent from the scene, it was the only opportunity that anyone had to tamper with you. You're making it up. It's all nonsense. It's all lies. What about the Japanese man with the whiskers? I bet it was him. He did it.
Objection!
If that was true, Constable Beat would have seen him do it. Oh. And forgive me for pointing it out, but when you dropped your bouquet, Miss Beat, it was after the defendant had fled the scene. Well...
Objection!
First, you make accusations about the landlord and his wife, and now you incriminate a policeman as well. But your accusations lack one very important thing. Evidence. Claim the crime scene was tampered with. There's only one reason anyone would commit such a reckless crime, to hide something.
What were they hiding?
My husband and I just happened to be there, that's all. So why would we have anything to hide? It doesn't make any sense. I've offered no motive for this evident crime. Until you do, your accusations are nothing but empty threats. Constable Beat had a very good reason for wanting to tamper with the scene of the crime. That's the key to this entire affair. Have you managed to solve this mystery? So Mrs. Garrido stabbed that woman.
Accidentally, yes.
Yes. If you're mistaken, Ashara, I need not point out your reputation as a lawyer will be irrevocably damaged. With that stark warning in mind, you may now explain to the court the motive for this alleged tampering. Yes, my lord. Constable Beat's motive for tampering with the crime scene was to hide
The
where the
bouquet.
victim fell.
The bouquet.
Where the victim fell to the ground. That's why the Bobby had to cover up. What? Where the victim fell? You mean where she was attacked? What are you talking about? We told you at the very start, didn't we? On the pavement of Briar Road. Saw it happen. Right here, as if anyone didn't already know. That's certainly what everybody has been led to. But in fact, that isn't where the victim was stabbed at all. What? What? Do you think Mrs. Garrido will ever vote innocent on the thing that she might be involved in?
I think
Could there be such a thing as a hung jury at this point? If that's your assertion, then the court is dying to know, my Nipke's friend. Where are you proposing that the crime actually took place that evening?
Whoa, where could it have taken place, Alex?
Right about there.
Take that!
But that's on the opposite side of the road. I don't understand. On the evening in question, Mr. Garrido's book fell directly down from the open window, and your bouquet, Miss Beat, never moved at all. What did move was the scene of the crime itself. Good gracious.
Objection!
Of course there's an objection. Perhaps you haven't been listening to the ample testimony the court has heard. But the witnesses both saw the moment the attack took place. That's right, I saw it. With my own eyes. It was 5 o'clock in the evening and already dark. There was a typical London fog on the ground. When you saw the incident unfold and ran to the victim's aid, that was actually on the west side of Briar Road. No, that's not true. It can't have been. Constable Beat then arranged for you to be absent for a while by sending you help. And during the 15 minutes you were away, he transplanted the crime scene. He moved all the things shown in the print, the victim herself, the 4 books. He moved everything, in fact, to a table on the east side of Briar Road. Extraordinary. But the constable overlooked one thing. What? What did he overlook? The bouquet, I presume. Exactly that. The prosecution told the court just a few minutes ago about the discovery of the rose bouquet. Lord Van Zyke said it wasn't noticed until the morning as it lay where the street lamps cast no light. Yes, it couldn't be seen in the dark, obviously. Which is why it was only the bouquet that was found in its original position on the pavement on the west side of Briar Road. And that is the defense's theory about what really happened that evening. How do you respond? Constable Rolly Beat.
I've seen him flip out. Or just...
Well, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to nod off again. I haven't slept properly in a month. Did I miss anything important? That's not quite the freak out I was expecting. Oh, Rolly, it isn't true, is it? What the lawyer said, it's all lies, isn't it? I know it is, because you're the most upstanding, righteous man I know. I had a dream. A terrible dream. All the things I did that night. Everything. Come out. Everything. Exposed. Only it seems... it wasn't a dream at all. Good golly. What?
Did you like tug on something?
I didn't mean to if I did.
Oh boy. Oh golly.
Switch was surprised. What on earth is the meaning of all this? Oh, really? Why would you do something like this? Moving a corpse is a criminal offense, isn't it?
Well, it's not a corpse. They're still very much
Wishing the
alive.
victim dead should be one too. Constable, explain yourself. Why did you do this? As a respected member of Scotland Yard, your duty is to protect the good people of London town. I can't say, sir. What? I really am ever so sorry about all this. For damaging the Yard's reputation. For everything. I have a possible explanation. For why on that particular evening, Constable Beat felt compelled to move the scene of the crime. I can think of one reason. What? How could you possibly know? You're a foreigner, presuming to understand the mind of the Scotland Yard policeman. And yet, Lord Van Sykes, this is the foreigner who has uncovered the startling truth of the matter thus far.
Getting called out.
I believe it would be beneficial to the court to hear this extraordinary young lawyer's theory. Counsel for the defense, if you please. Yes, my lord. Now then, I think you've had better show us some evidence.
Oh my god, what did you...
I don't know. I thought, like, maybe this got disconnected, but...
I don't know. 1 second. What the heck? What did you do?
I didn't do it!
Wait, it popped up and then... What? Would you mind checking the cable? Nothing?
Yeah, sure. Let me just disconnect it entirely, and then reconnect it.
I might just need to use the thing. I don't know why this thing just suddenly died.
It popped back on for a millisecond. Okay, we'll switch then.
I don't... What did you do?
Well, Nintendo Switch. Blow on it. That worked back in the day. Thanks, Jen. At once, my lord. England, Japan. Makes no difference where you come from. Human emotions are the same. And I think I have a fairly good idea of the feelings behind this man's action. It's gonna be the Scotland Yard warrant card.
Take that!
I realize that I'm a foreigner in this land, and I've only just arrived from Japan, which is why all this information about London's so-called bobbies is completely new to me. I've learned that, though honorable, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world, for example. Keeping the peace, looking after the citizens on his beat in all kinds of ways. There's no doubt the young bobby is charged with a great deal to do each day, certainly. But for Constable Beat, the day in question was special. Special? How? On account of the bouquet, my lord. Oh yes, it was our very first wedding anniversary. Constable Beat had worked so hard to be able to afford this simple gift for his wife, and was so looking forward to taking her out for a celebratory meal. When he and Mrs. Beat stumbled upon a crime along Briar Road. When he saw that shadowy figure through the fog clouds on the pavement ahead of them, it must have gone through this man's mind. But just on that particular day, I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Miss Beat puts up a lot being married to a bobby like me, and I wanted to show her how much I care. This is the warrant card that Constable Beat offered to lend me earlier. Inside among the rules for patrolling policemen, it says, when a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Aha. Constable beat. Is that, or is that not the reason why you moved the whole scene of the crime that day? Yes. Everything you said it's alright. So that's it. It was all to do with the boundary of your beat. Oh. Exactly. To summarize, the incident actually occurred on Constable Beat's beat. Good gracious. Constable, do you realize the gravity of what you've done? It was the first time since I became a copper that I'd ever cursed God. Stay close to me, Pat. The criminal could still be lurking somewhere. As we ran over to the scene, I had every intention of doing my duty as a police officer. We've got to report this to the station as quickly as possible. But then it dawned on me. I realized where we were, where the victim was lying, and what that meant for me. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Why here? Why did it have to happen here? And why tonight, of all nights? Why? It's a copper's job to guard the scene of the crime, so I told Pat she'd have to go to the nearest police box and fetch whoever was on duty there. It was then, when I opened my mouth to speak, it just came out. I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my own mouth. It's the next beat to mine, Pat, so you'll have to go to the police box that covers it. Turn right along Mearsham Street, and then... Might be freak out time, Trev.
Oh, it seems like an actually kind of chill man.
Oh, he's crying. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, Constable. I just wanted that one night to take my Patricia out for dinner. Oh, Willie. Just that one night. You knew that if the incident was on your beat, your evening of celebration would be ruined, and so you decided to move the entire crime scene outside your jurisdiction, across the street to the east pavement of Broward Road, which falls into the neighboring East Town. You see, I thought... Well, I was sure the victim was dead, you see. Beg your pardon? Oh, of course you did. Otherwise my roller would have never left the poor woman on the freezing cold pavement. Ah, I see your meaning now. But God got me back for my sins, didn't he? That's why I missed the rose I bought from Pat. Oh no, Willie, that was all my fault. I should have never dropped it in such a dark place. I'm so sorry, Willie. And can you tell us, Constable, how many books did you move from the one side of this road to the other in total? 4 it was, yes, definitely 4. 3 of them dropped by Mr. Natsume, and the 4th being the one that fell in the victim's window upstairs in the Garrison household, of course. But what made you place the book in the victim's hand? And all the others were scattered haphazardly around me. Oh, well, sir, that's because that's how I found it. How you found it? What do you mean? When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book, so when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand. You're sure it was this book, The Lion's Pride? Oh, I get it. She
bent over to pick it up, got stabbed in the back.
Yep. Interesting. The 4th book's information has been updated. I thought it was an open and shut case at the time, you see. There were only 2 people at the scene. Pat and me both saw it happen. However, which way you looked at it, it had to be the fellow who ran off who'd done it. I thought. I couldn't see the harm, really. I didn't think moving it at all over the road would make a jot of difference. I suppose this is for me now. I've had it. Broly gets to go to jail for his wedding anniversary. Yeah, my lord. Yes, Lord Van Sykes. I believe that concludes the cross-examination of the witnesses. Constable, you may withdraw. Mr. Prosecutor, sir, what will become of my role? What will happen to him? For now, you're free to go home. Police will contact you in due course. Please, don't punish my husband. This was all my fault. It's because I'm always moaning at him for coming home late. Leave it now, Pat. Let's go home. I'm tired. Alright then, my love. One last thing, Constable. Sir, let this be a lesson to you. In a criminal investigation, every detail matters, however insignificant it may seem to you. Yes, sir. Carve that lesson into your mind. And never again make the mistake of tampering with the scene of crime. Never again, sir? You mean to say... Leave, now. This trial is not yet over. What's that? We're all too nice to this man. Van Zykes or Rolly? Rolly, I feel like he deserves.
Also, one of the three that is actually not there.
Yeah, I know, right? Who would have thought a third party transplanting the entire crime scene? Indeed, my lord, nevertheless, there are some immutable facts here. Principally, that the accused Mr. Saseki Natsume is the only person who could possibly commit this crime. Objection! Yeah. No, I disagree. Now that we know the true scene of the incident, there is someone else. The other person who could be responsible for the knife in the person's back. Forgive me for being presumptuous, but I believe the prosecution is probably well aware of this possibility already. Lord Van Zykes, is this true? Yeah, very well. Name the person if you will, and if a further investigation is warranted. The prosecution has no objection to the trial continuing. Who could it be?
Take that!
The defense would once again like to request the cross-examination of a new witness, my lord. Once again. My assistant made the same request earlier, in order to finally reveal the truth about this case. It's imperative we cross-examine juror number 4, Miss Joan Garrett. Me? Oh dearie me.
Objection!
Lord Van Zykes, you know exactly what's
You said that you'd have no.
That request has already been denied.
Objection!
But the situation is very different now. Mrs. Garrett, answer me this. What do you want now, you little toad? At the time of the incident, you were engaged in a violent argument with your husband, Mr. John Garrett. In the course of the argument, a minor house fire was ignited. And to clear the smoke from the window, your husband opened a window that looks out over Briar Road. Well, what of it? He threw this book at your husband when he was cornered with his back against the window. Upon striking the pane of the open-edged top casement window, the book plummeted directly down, finding its way to what we now know to be the true scene of the incident. Yes, and as I said, what of it? During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you threw not just books, but anything you could lay your hands on. So, let me ask you one more time, Miss Garrett. This knife, the one removed from the victim's back, have you really never laid eyes on it before? I don't recall it. Seriously? Am I supposed to remember everything I pick up and threw at my husband? And anyway, the man over there is all in all that regalia said members of the jury need to testify, didn't he? Conveniently, yes.
Objection!
No, I have no recollection of saying that at all. Juror number 4. Damn! Make no mistake, you jurors are not special in any way. You're not immune to the judicial process. If you know something about this knife, madam, let the truth come out. But that's common. That's just a common or garden knife. It could have come from anywhere. We have several like that at home. If that one went missing, how would you expect me to know? What's that? Are you joking? What are you saying, please, Miss Garrett?
I have so many of them.
Now you listen to me. I refuse to believe all this nonsense. I couldn't bear the thought that I injured someone. Do you hear that? I couldn't bear it. Oh, the poor woman. So yes, I want evidence. I want to see the hard evidence if you're going to insist on this being my fault. You're going to have to prove it to me that I threw that knife if that's what you think. Come along now, chop chop. Do your worst. Well, if I had evidence like that, believe me, I would have thrown it at her already. Then take the stand, juror. Oh. Van Sykes is done with this shit. Prosecution does not object to the defense's request to cross-examine this witness. Thank you, Lord Van Sykes. I'm going to have to testify. Juror number 4, as I'm sure you will appreciate, having observed it with your own eyes today. Witness testimony can lead to the most extraordinary truths being unearthed, truths of which the witnesses themselves may not even have been aware. But she was fine injuring her husband? Yes, domestic abuse does not pale.
Domestic abuse.
So I must demand your full and unadulterated testimony, Mrs. Garrideb. Mark my words, in this court of law today, we shall extract the truth. Do you concur, counsels? Certainly, my lord. Oh, that's what I was hoping for, my lord. Oh, this is such a strange feeling. For the first time since arriving in this country, it actually feels real. I'm here in the Old Bailey, and I'm a lawyer. Wow, congratulations, you did it.
Did you do this exact same thing last time? Were you not a lawyer last time?
Witness, state your name and occupation. Oh, yes, my name is Joan Garrett. And I'm a juror and such like. Sounds like even she doesn't know if she's a housewife or a maid or what anymore. The court has decided your testimony is required in order to clarify matters in this case. Do you understand, madam? Yes, my lord. You will tell the court everything that took place in your household on this evening in question. And I warn you, do not attempt to hide the truth. Oh dear me. Chin up, Joni. Nothing to worry about now. Oh, hi, Mr. Garrideb. Oh, I didn't know you were here, John. It wasn't only you in the room that day, old thing, was it? Rather think I ought to testify as well, don't you? But what about your knee, dear? Don't you worry about that. Hardly notice it. I'm not the sort of chap to leave a comrade to face disciplinary action alone. Oh, John.
I'm glad that his face with the...
the handprints is gone. I presume that you are Mr. John Garrideb? Yes, sir. Former 2nd Lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment of the 4th Numberland Fusiliers, sir. Seen my fair share of action and now living a quiet life, as it were. A quiet life? Were you not engaged in an incendiary battle with your spouse in the day in question? Well, yes. Quite. I just noticed that he's wearing the, medal. I believe this may represent the first in the proud history of the British court. Calling a juror to the witness stand is unprecedented. However, the court will hear your testimony now, juror number 4, and that of your husband. You will recount clearly and concisely the events in your home on the day of the incidents in question. Sir, at once. I'm gonna press him on everything. The Battle of Garrideb is the name of this testimony. Yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't really recall the reason now. Knocked a candlestick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon had it out though and got the window open. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at them. Plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I'd noticed if one or two went missing, I'm afraid. If that bally thing was in the victim's back really was one of ours, we'll have a job proving it, I think. Saying, hey, I have a lot of similar knives is usually enough circumstantial evidence. So now, this is the couple. So now it makes sense that she was burning him constantly. Yeah. Sounds as though it was quite the battlefield in your home that evening. Although an entirely one-sided assault, it seems. The enemy caught us on the hop, sir, and no choice but to dig in and take defensive measures. To be honest, if the enemy had kept shelling us for another minute, we'd have been toast. Of course, veterans such as myself is only too aware that on every battlefield you're just a gnat's whisker from death at any moment. Are we still talking about a marital quarrel here? Well, I must say, I'm dubious that this testimony will shed any light on the origins of this jackknife. In combat, one's focus narrows such that the surroundings are barely noticed. These witnesses may not be able to offer anything more than they've already testified. This may be a dead end. Alright. Begin your cross-examination. The Battle of Garadeb. My wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason.
Hold it!
The reason is what you told us yesterday. Yes, that's right. If I remember correctly, we all started because of a note that was tucked into the pages of a book belonging to Mr. Garadeb. Rather passionate note, in fact. But Mrs. Garadeb found the note discovering her husband's little secret, and she gave him a mighty number of slaps across the face for it, too. What a sordid state of affairs. Hell on earth. I say, when a chap says he can't recall such things, it's common decency not to drag it all up. And besides, half of it was wide of the mark anyway. A likely story. These waters run very deep. What transpired next after these multiple blows to the face? Dr. Can stood over, set fire to the carpet.
Hold it!
And the fire also spread to some items of furniture, didn't it? The bookcase, my armchair, anything of mine, really. Just so happens there was some bath water around that evening, so I sloshed it about to put it out. Most precarious situation you put yourself in. Ours is a 3-story townhouse on the west side of the street where the water main isn't connected yet. Have to draw water from a public water plant during the day if you need to use it, obviously. The lodgers are always moaning that they can't get any water at night. Although, that little mustache Japanese man buys water in bottles, I believe. Defendant Mr. Natsume, you mean? Yes, he receives a stipend for his studies, you know, in his home country. Can you imagine being able to brew a pot of tea at all hours? He's obviously very well off. Have you actually seen the state of the man? If he uses all of his income to buy books. Well, anyway, the point is, I was able to douse the fire with water, fortunately enough. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at them.
Hold it!
Even though the room was on fire. As far as I was concerned at the time, it was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. When a woman wants to throw, she must throw. That is most certainly not true of the Susato takedown, Mr. Naruhodo. How did she know I was thinking that? So please cast your mind back and try to remember. There was a knife amongst the items that you threw at your husband that day. In all honesty, I don't recall. But I feel I must point out that I'm no monster. Let me see. Some bread, a cabbage, garlic, a towel, a sponge, a napkin.
By Jupiter! Excuse me!
Oh ho ho.
Do you have something to add, sir? Mr. Garadeb. Eh? Don't shoot! Ah, sorry. Beg your pardon? Did your wife's Mark Jow just... Joan is a liar. Yeah, oh, we know that. Nothing of any significance, no. It's just that the barrage of projectiles that old thing launched in my direction is somewhat more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, the fire poker I seem to recall. Ouch. The woman's aim is uncanny! She landed the dirt! Good grief, woman, we're not at home now. This is a court of law. Oh, dearie me. We're so sorry, dear. Right in his pipe. This man got PTSD from his wife, not the war. What's she even doing with a teapot in here?
What are we doing with a sword in here?
Honestly, John, I would never throw in such things at you, obviously. Well, take a look at this, then. How do you suppose that happened, huh? Your pipe, sir? Had this thing in my hands as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles, she did, yes. And when I went to pick up the thing, it was broken in two. I'd like to see a sponge do that sort of damage. I see, your pipe is broken. Would have never been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I've managed to bandage the thing up for now. You are one to exaggerate, aren't you, dear? I wonder what we should make of this account. It could be important.
It's always important. Whenever they throw that up,
Yeah.
it's just like...
The defense believes Mr. Garadeb now to be a great son.
Objection!
This war veteran's words only tell us one thing. Betray a fiery wife and pipes as well as hearts may be broken. Sentimental wisdom, perhaps, but it's hardly worthy of adding to the formal testimony. Indeed, common sense, one might say. Might one? In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipe, sir? Huh? Well, I don't see why not. Oh, dearie me. There you go again, trying to ingratiate yourself with the young lady. Very well, the court will accept this gentleman's pipe as evidence. I hope it didn't speak out of turn, Mr. Naruhodo. No, I guarantee you what's going to be beneath the bandage is the fucking broken tip of the jackknife.
Well, why are you opening it up?
Because I wanted to make sure that the jackknife had a broken tip. Okay. That's a pretty nasty cut there. There's a small nick out of the bowl here. Pierce had been made relatively recently. See how there are little scrapes and dents all over it? It's clear it's a well-loved pipe. Yeah, you're right. Seems to me recently, well-loved goes hand in hand with getting some battle scars. This particular nick is catching my eye, though. This is clearly new. Looks to be in a sorry state with that bandage around it, doesn't it? But for some reason it feels slightly ominous to me. It's trying to shout out a warning. Probably because the same blue as Mr. Garrett's dressing gown. I suppose it must have considerable sentimental value to Mr. Garrett, given that he's gone through the trouble of repairing it like this. Either that or he can't afford to replace it. Ah!
Yeah, a little iron smoking.
Oh, something just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there. Yeah, I saw it. Something stuck in there, I think. Let's turn it over and give it a shake. What's this? Tiny fragment of metal. Looks like the tip of a blade or something. The tip of a blade? Surely it could be. Alright.
Also, I'm just gonna tell you this now. You have to re-examine the knife again so they can put two and two together.
That's dumb. I would not have done that, I'll be honest. Oh, look here, Mr. Naruhodo, just at the tip. A small piece of the blade appears to be missing. Wait, part of it's missing. I could be wrong, but I've just got a feeling. Do you remember this? Ah, that's the tiny fragment of metal that we found inside Mr. Garrett's pipe. Yes, and just maybe. Oh my, that's a perfect fit. Somehow I just knew it.
So now you got that dialogue. Now you can go from the metal fragment to one of their statements to continue on.
Thank you.
Yeah, just because they go, oh yeah, be sure to also examine the knife so that they can put two and two together.
That's dumb.
They don't say that it like won't work, but it's like it's probably just safer to get the dialogue.
Knife piece. Oh.
Objection!
Mr. Garredev, could I ask you to take a good look at this, please? You can ask, but I can't see a valley thing. Can't? He used to call me Dead-Eyed Deb back in the regiment of the course, but that was some time ago now. And when I'm trying to enjoy a large print book by the fire these days, I struggle to tell a B from a D and a P from a Q, to be honest. Oh, he does. Dearie me, it's rather wearing to being asked every other letter and every other word. You must, D very doozy. What is that? A tiny scrap of metal? Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. And what it may appear to at first be just a tiny scrap is in fact a crucial piece of evidence. Interesting. And where did the defense come by this evidence? It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Garrett's pipe. My pipe, you say? My Jove, I wonder how that got there. And what precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel? Are you suggesting that it's in some way related to the matter of the stabbing?
Yes, so you're like, exactly.
Lion's Pride is now Lion's Bride. No, it'd be Lion's Kide with a Q because he can't know the P's and Q's apart.
Yeah.
Come on, Jen, keep up, gosh. I believe this tiny fragment of metal will unravel the whole truth of the case. Oh my gosh, she's so short. We stand a short queen. Also, the back of his pants were singed off. You seem rather confident in that extraordinary statement. Very well then, present the pertinent evidence.
What evidence could it be, paired with the fragment of metal? That could be related to the stabbing.
Bam!
Whoa,
Eject.
it's the knife.
This is the knife that was found in the victim's back. If you look closely, you'll see that there is a small piece at the tip of the blade that's missing. Common issue with the inferior blades sold at unsavory street markets. Criminals who use them regularly leave the tip lodged in their victims' bones.
Ew.
What of this particular knife? No doubt its tip has suffered a similar fate, now languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim.
Objection!
No, that's not the case. I am worms, worthless worms.
We are worms.
Covering your most lugubriousness. Such a good word. The tip of this particular knife's blade is the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of Mr. Garrett's pipe. Oh my god. Van Zykes recoiled like he'd been shot. He went like, ugh. I don't believe it. The knife from the crime scene and this fragment of metal are a perfect match. Good gosh. So Mrs. Garrett unintentionally stabbed this woman.
Yeah.
Cool. Is this some sort of Eastern sorcery? This is no magic, my lord. This is a miracle. Miracle? So Van Zykes has figured it out, has he? Counsel, explain this extraordinary coincidence at once. Yes, my lord. The crucial point we have to ask ourselves here is when did the fragment of metal find its way inside Mr. Garrett's pipe? Something that was clarified for us in the most recent witness testimony. I had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles, she did, yes. It never had been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Uh-oh. Wifey's going to have a fucking conniption. John, get clear, the nuke's gonna blow! Mrs. Garrett had flung this knife at her husband. However, the knife missed Mr. Garrett, instead striking the pipe in his hand at the time, which caused the tip of the break off, of course. Good lord. Yes, and that's when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside Mr. Garrett's pipe. Chances of that are 1,000,000 to 1. And yet there's no other credible explanation for how the tip of the blade ends up in the pipe. Then, after losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out the open window. In short, this knife, which fell from the window of the Garrett's house, is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back in the street below. Oh my gosh. Oh dear. Oh. No!
Objection!
Oh, he's got another glass, Trevor. I'm thinking crush this time.
That's gonna be a throw.
A full-bodied theory, I'll give you that. A complex bouquet of seemingly trivial points plausibly arranged to create an almost passable vintage. Allow me to toast my learned friend's characteristically Nipponese approach to bottling his argument. Sorry. But after all that, it's just a theory. The bottle, I fear, is corked. Because you see,
No, I was
it's
expected
spoiled by an insurmountable consistency. An insurmountable... What? Girl was picking up notes when she got stabbed? Yes, exactly. An inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord. The victim was found with the knife planted in the middle of her back. Yes, in her... Oh, Mr. Garrett, no. That's right, you silly little man. Now, Joan, old thing, what are you getting so excited about? Let us consider the basic facts of the case one more. The victim was walking along the pavement before being stabbed in the back and falling to the ground. The knife that struck her had fallen from above. He threw it. We're at 5 thrown glasses, 2 crushed glasses, and 2 thrown bottles.
Also, I was right. Also, boots. 2 boots of this.
Yeah.
Which I did not expect to be.
It's just a theory, a law theory. Thanks for playing. Thank you, Jen. You're quite right. You see, that's exactly right. If the knife had fallen on her from above, it would have struck her on the top of her head. Well, simple. He's lost for words. Look. I knew it. I never liked his theory in the first place. I was scared it was just missing. I really don't know what happened. It would appear the defense has made a rather spectacular blunder. A theory has even one inconsistency it cannot stand. Your theory, my learned friend, is history. It's really not that hard. You're so close, I can see the truth. I was so sure we were on the right track. But now, the head's been blocked completely by just one simple inconsistency. Or in other words, we simply need to eliminate that one inconsistency and the theory will stand. It's Susato. You mustn't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. You were just caught off guard, that's all. And your mind went blank. But if the path you were on is indeed correct, then a way will present itself. The key to this is in the court record before, and the information you need. Seems you have nothing to say, my Japanese friend. Well, your silence speaks volumes. A tacit acceptance that your theory is fatally flawed.
Objection!
Objection. This is inconsistency doesn't mean I was off on the wrong track. It means that I need to sharpen my mind and dig deeper for the truth. It's a test. Yes. If the knife fell on the victim from above, there's no way that it could have hit her in the middle of the back. Under normal circumstances, that is. What are you implying? Counsel? There's a piece of evidence in the court record that can explain this inconsistency. The knife fell from above to pierce the victim's back. We already have the answer. Goodness. Utter madness. Surely this must be the last time. Counsel, present the evidence. This is the last inconsistency, the final piece in the puzzle. The evidence that explains how the falling knife became lodged in the victim's back is the book. Yep.
Take that!
This is the fourth book found at the scene. The final piece of evidence the defense will present. The bird book? Is that not Mr. Garadeb's book? Yes, and to understand its significance, we have to consider how it came to be at the scene in the first place. Photographic print clearly shows the book in question, in the victim holding it in her hand. But as we all know now, it was the police constable who put the book between her fingers. Quite so. Part of his wholesale transplant currency. That's true. However, as part of his testimony, Constable B made an extremely enlightened statement on that point. But what made you place the book in the victim's hand? Oh well, sir. It's because how I found it. When I first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So when I moved it over everything, made sure it was still in her hand. In other words, the victim had already picked the book up of her own volition. Clearly, that must have been before she suffered the knife wound. I should say so. After being attacked with a knife, I don't imagine she'd be doing much of anything. So the question becomes, why did the victim have that book in her hand? By Jingo. I think I'm beginning to see what may have happened here. Oh dearie me. I know that the book fell from the top floor of the Garadeb household onto the pavement below, at precisely the moment that the victim was walking past. Yes, at exactly that moment, the young woman was walking along the street in the light fog, when all of a sudden, a book fell right in front of her. The book I threw. Yes, Mr. Garadeb. What do you think the woman did? Yeah, I don't know what by Jingo means. I don't know. What would you do if you were suddenly walking alongside a book lying in front of you on the pavement? Well, I really can't imagine it, but I suppose she might have reached down and picked up the book. Yes, that's exactly what the woman in fact did. She picked up the book. Oh heavens. And when the woman reached down to pick up the fallen book, what position would her back have been in? That's right, facing the sky, completely and utterly defenseless. Then, in the very next moment, while the woman was still bent over picking up the book, the fucking pose, I'm sorry. The next object that fell from the room above, the jackknife straight into the middle of her back. Okay, but the woman who got stabbed is super cute. Oh yeah, olive green is pretty good. She's not dead, she's in the hospital. Walking by chance directly behind Mrs. Green was the defendant, Mr. Sasaki Natsume. However, it appeared to Mr. Natsume that the woman simply collapsed on the floor. In the dark and in the fog, he didn't see the knife falling from her above. And from the other direction, the constable and his wife saw no one but the victim and her apparent attacker. So there never was a real culprit to run from the scene in the first place. I know, but it's funnier to say dead. I mean, yeah, she did kind of do like the Family Guy fall over. No, this was nothing more than a series of unlikely events that culminated in an unfortunate accident. And that is the real truth behind this case.
Who did it? Mrs. Garrideb, technically, but not intentionally.
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb? The very first time you showed me that knife, I had my suspicions. I wondered if perhaps it might be something like that. There, old bean. Poor Mrs. Garrideb. I don't think she's the poor one. Of course, I never meant for anything of the sort to happen, but it was all my fault, wasn't it? I take full responsibility. I let my anger get the better of me. I threw that book. And I threw the knife as well. John, dear. It's alright. I know. I'm ever so sorry. Truly. I'm sorry.
There's your big freak out. Closer.
Oh, there we go. Oh, he caught her, but he's struggling to keep her upright on his bad knee. I hope he's wearing pants.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad that she's taking responsibility. I was afraid she was going to be a victim. Oh wait, never mind. Lloyd Van Zykes, what news of Miss Garrideb? She's been taken to the infirmary. It would appear that today's events have left her in an especially flustered state. However, I believe she'll recover in due course. There is no cause for concern. Yes, unbeknownst to themselves, they caused what could have easily been a terrible tragedy. They shall have to prepare themselves for the consequences of their actions. There is some good news, however, my lord. I've just heard word from the hospital where the victim is being treated. Her condition is improving steadily, and the doctor believes she'll regain consciousness soon. It's strange. We've been talking about the victim all this time, but we've never once met her. How wonderful. The woman is out of danger, it seems. Yes, that is good news. So, Mr. Sasaki Natsume. He's back. Yes. On behalf of my fellow countrymen, I would like to take this opportunity to beg your pardon, sir. You came from your distant eastern homeland to study our great British culture, and have been repaid with immeasurable unkindness. Please accept our heartfelt apologies. No, it's me who should be begging your pardon. Oh no, Mr. Natsume. That evening, when the young woman just collapsed on the pavement before my eyes, I jumped to the wrong conclusion again in my confusion. What conclusion, sir? I was sure that the woman was dead. Yeah, Constable Beat said the same thing, didn't he? He thought she had been killed too. I suppose she must have looked completely lifeless. It had been about a year since I arrived in Great Britain now, but I still can't get used to life here. I can't relax. I'm sure there are evil spirits lurking in the fog, like they're haunting me. Poor Sasaki-san. His imagination really has gotten the better of him. Yes, poor man. So when it happened, I thought the young woman had been taken by the fog spirits. I should have never dropped my books like that and run away. I should have called for help, for a doctor, for the police. Instead, I've managed to create a rift in the relationship of trust between our two empires. And for that, I'm truly sorry. Mr. Garrideb has taken Mrs. Garrideb's place on the jury. One could indeed say that some sort of mischievous spirit had been at work here, I think. One that created a chain of unfortunate mishaps. We were befooled by the spirit and led to false conclusions. but thanks to Lord Van Zykes and our young lawyer here to the east. Lord Van Zykes didn't do shit. That chain has now been broken, and the spirit exorcised. I heartily commend you both. Oh. Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Yes, my lord? In concluding this trial, I must ask one last time for your decisions regarding the defendant's culpability. Are you ready to present your findings to the court? That man looks like he's about to write the Cask of Amontillado. He kind of does look like Poe. The truth can be extremely cruel at times. Well, I didn't suspect the woman next to me, that's for sure. Sitting in for the old bean while she's out of action, you know. But I know what her decision will be. Does this mean I'll finally be able to get out of here and start work? Well, it's about time. I say, I'll have to corker a story to tell the grandchildren when I get home, won't I?
Yeah.
If you can remember any of it, what you heard through your...
Oh, I'm really want to hear what story he gets from the past things that he heard.
Not guilty. Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Bam. Mr. Soseki Natsume, I hereby pronounce you not guilty. Fireworks in the courtroom. That can't be a bad idea. That's definitely
If all the other fire...
Agnes McGilda died.
It's all the other fire and knives.
And finally, Mr. Natsume. Oh, yes, Lord, sir? You are now a free man once more. It's my hope that you will continue to further your education in British culture. And may you never again be brought before me. Oh yes, sir, of course. On my life, I swear I'll never set foot in a courtroom again. I'm transported to tears. We had to get at least one more of those. Thank you, counsel. This court is adjourned. Fuck you, Reaper the Bailey. I won again. Alright, so how much you want to bet Natsume ends up dead again?
What?
What?
Not everybody has to die, huh?
That was the whole thing with the Reaper. They said even if he lost, the people ended up dead. Oh, Locum. Wait, you mean me? Of course. Is there another Locum here? Is there even one? Compared to the original Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, your name has become rather short, hasn't it? What's wrong with us using my actual name? Oh, at last. I'm free. I'm free. Joyful, joyous, jubilation. Heady, hearty, happiness, hurrah. Oh, I'm pleased. Mr. Natsume is delighted. Would it be so hard to just say that then? Locum, you did it! You saved me from the brink. Well, what happened to the poor woman was in no way your fault after all. I'm just glad everyone can see that now. No, not that. Lovely, loyal, Locum lawyer. Yes. I mean, as I said before, I just have never gotten used to the life here in Great Britain. Every time I look over my shoulder, I see foreigners. I see towering brick buildings. From high up windows, I see them looking down on me laughing. Look at that little hunchback. Oh dear, I'm sure it's all in your head, Mr. Natsume. But today, you, Locum lawyer, gave my gloom the boot. You stood firm beneath that baronial bench, all before those battling British. You battled to the bitter end, laying bare the baffling truth. When I beheld the blinding fireworks among those beams the Bailey's roof I below, behold the best barrister ever born. Well, that's very flattering. I'm very pleased for you. This has given me a wonderful anecdote to recount to my old friends back in Japan. An anecdote? That's what to become of all my hard work? Ah, there you are, my dear fellows. Oh, it's Hairlock Sholmes. I apologize for keeping you waiting. I rose late this morning. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, what a pleasure to see you. I see I am here not a moment too soon. Disaster has been averted, I'm glad to say. This man does poses like he's in a fashion photo shoot? Yeah, he does. Oh. The trial shall begin presently, Mr. Naruhodo, and I wish you the very best of luck. It's just finished. What? No. My haste was in vain? Ah! It's you, Hairlock Sholmes. Oh, have we met, sir? This is Mr. Natsume, the man you had arrested, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, I see. I failed to recognize you at first. Our previous encounters have taken place in the bleak, either of your bleak wanderings or that of the prison cell. I simply couldn't place that curious face in the light. Charming. This is all your fault, Hairlock Sholmes. You're the reason I had to go through this terrible ordeal. I'm gonna give you a piece of my mind. My apologies, sir, but I assure you, I have placed you now. You're the fellow who abandoned that poor young lady and ran off, are you not? Has she been taken to the hospital more urgently? I feel perhaps she would have regained consciousness by now. Oh. But it was unavoidable, I'm sure. We're but human after all. Anyone would have been shaken by such an experience. I do feel very badly about how I behaved. Well, never mind. Now then, what was it that you wanted to say to me, sir? Get out of my life. Nothing. Priceless. Oh, I am sorry, really, but that was quite priceless. Poor Soseki-san, he got bamboozled by Hairlock Sholmes. Still on the bright side, you've had an extremely entertaining experience without having to pay a penny. And, it would seem, you were not even found guilty. But there is no bright side. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Natsume? Even after this, I'm still cursed. By the spirits, and now by the Reaper. Ah, Lord Van Zykes. I haven't forgotten, you know, what's facing that man in court means. Even if you're found not guilty, you're still doomed. It'll all be alright, Mr. Natsume. If the Reaper appears trying to make trouble, I'll protect you. Hiya! God damn it, Susato. Or the perfectly executed Susato takedown. Much as I like being turned on my head, a bit of warning might be nice next time, Miss Susato.
But the Reaper will get the same warning.
Okay, I know it's a Susato takedown where she flips me on my head, but could she just do the same to flip me off my head? So, Mr. Natsume, what do you intend to do now? You mentioned something about recounting your experiences to your friends back in Japan. Yes. I intend to return to my homeland soon. Oh. It had already been a year since I arrived here in Great Britain. I've visited universities, libraries, bookshops. I've been honored with the tutelage of professors. I've learned so much about the wealth of literature here in the city it has shaped. And I've come to realize that it's my calling to sail home and tell my fellow countrymen about it. That is very touching, Mr. Natsume. Or in perhaps less veiled terms, you wish to withdraw halfway around the world to escape the terror of the Reaper's curse. That's not it at all. The more I learn of literature, the more this strange feeling claws at my insides. I feel compelled to return to my roots and attempt to pen your work of my own. Oh, I see. Work of literature by Soseki-san. Could be an interesting read. And what about Miss Susato and yourself, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry, what about us? Will you return to Japan alongside your mustache compatriot? Why would we? A week has not yet passed since we arrived in London. Only now does it feel like we finally found our feet. Yeah, 3 days. And you're accommodated at a hotel at present, are you not? That's right, but we need to find lodging before it bankrupts us. I've calculated we can only afford another 10 nights before our entire budget is exhausted. Well then, you take my lodgings. Oh, the windowless room? But what it lacks in windows, more than makes up for with a floor and ceiling and walls.
Whoa!
Great. And of course, I'd be happy to leave behind that cursed evil spirit. Oh my, an evil spirit. Oh yes, it tries to suffocate you while you sleep. It's an infallible wake-up call. Well, think about it, if that's alright. Perhaps I can offer a more welcome alternative? Would you consider taking lodgings with me?
You're doing them every day to
Well,
show.
vacancy has conveniently presented itself, though it's up in the attic. You sure it isn't just a storage loft? I spoke with the landlady this very morning on the matter of price, and Iris is cleaning the room as we speak. You must come at once. I presume you have no luggage to speak of. Oh, this is simply wonderful. What an honor to be invited to take lodgings in the Great Detective's office's attic. I'm to overcome for words. So suggesting we look elsewhere is out of that. Then it's settled. Iris will prepare a welcome dinner this evening. And you must come too, Mr. Natsume. I must insist. I don't know what to say, but thank you. And yes. Wonderful. Then I'll go and complete the paperwork for your formal release, Mr. Natsume. It shan't take long. Somebody's happy. Locum, I knew you wouldn't let me down. I'm truly delighted to have met you here in London. Likewise, Mr. Natsume. It's been a privilege meeting you too. It's a shame that we're going to have to say goodbye so soon. Well, I've come to realize that I belong in Japan. But Locum, we'll meet again one day. Yes, I'm sure. And hopefully by then, I'll be a successful lawyer. Hopefully by then, I'll be a successful author. Well, my dear fellow, our carriage appears to have arrived. Shall we go, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, Mr. Schultz. I've little doubt Mr. Natsume will be released in time for dinner this evening. Maybe you should tell Mr. Natsume where you live? And so, with Sasaki-san's innocence successfully established, we rode with Mr. Schultz to what was to become our new home, 221B Baker Street. That's not a bad space. Yeah. Yeah, really not a bad space. So this is to be our new office, yes. Our office? I rather like the sound of that. Me too. It's simply wonderful, isn't it? I hope you can see this, Kazuma. It's only a small step. But I'd like to think we're getting a little closer to your dream. So, my dear fellows, do you like the place? Oh shit, it's Sholmes without his coat. Ah, Mr. Sholmes, thank you so much. It's a delightful room, I simply adore it. Good, I'm pleased to hear it. Iris and I are delighted to welcome you. I hope everyone's hungry, it's nearly time for dinner. We'll eat as soon as Mr. Natsume arrives. We have a lot to celebrate. Iris, you must let me help you. Alright then, Susie. You can be in charge of the salad. Why she got a gun? So, Mr. Naruhodo, how does it feel to have your own office in the capital? It's very exciting, actually. Can't help wondering what adventures await us. Oh, those were precisely my sentiments when I first established my office at those premises. Until I discovered the dark truth about the city of London, that is. Sorry? London is a glorious place full of wonder, opportunity, prosperity, and mirth. But the brightest of lights cast the darkest of shadows. Bam, I called it. Shadows? What do you mean? Well, I believe you're well aware of the murkiness that lies beneath London's facade already. So, once again, Mr. Naruhodo. Welcome to London.
Just looked up to see him without his normal costume.
Yeah, that's what I said. Of course, at the time, I had no idea of the significance of those words Mr. Sholmes so casually spoke. But it wasn't long before my turn came. To lift the facade and see the true depths of the murk that lay behind it. End.
So yeah, that's
Landed in London, awarded.
case 4. And look at that, 11:03.
We're on to the adventure of the unspeakable story.
Time for the 8-part thing.
Lord in heaven, help me. Alrighty, it's time. We're going to bed. I'm going to bed. I have work in the morning. I'm tired.
Well, also, those are just when we normally end.
Yes, I know.
Anyway, we got case 5 next week, and it's 8 parts. This one was 4 or 5? 4. Don't know if that means it's going to be double the length or not, but expect at least 2, likely more weeks left of this.
I'd probably guess closer to 4.
I think maybe 3. Maybe they make 8 parts, but the parts are slightly smaller. Either way.
Bye, Jen. I'll talk to you later. And by I'll talk to you, I mean Trevor will, because I'm not back until next week.
Who knows? Maybe we'll...
Yeah, maybe I'll pop it, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Alright. Adios. Goodbye.